finding the perfect hot yoga teacher training for you. Everybody's different, some people have different goals, and there's a lot of very important things to consider, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about the difference between a 200-hour and a 300-hour certification program. If you're not a teacher yet, then you want to explore a 200-hour teacher training program because that's going to enable you to get certified to be a yoga teacher. If you're already a yoga teacher, then you want to explore a 300-hour program, and that's how you become a 500-hour teacher. Just do the math. You get your 200-hour, that enables you to be a teacher. Now you get your 300-hour, now you're a 500-hour yoga teacher.
Could you say that again?
And maybe you stumbled onto this yoga video and you say to yourself, well, I'm not sure if I want to be a yoga teacher. Here's a few things to consider. In class, do you find yourself looking around and correcting people in your head? That's a sign. After the class is over, you feel more alive and better than you've ever felt in your entire life. That's a sign. You're compelled to share with other people what has helped you so much in your life and the transformation of your life. That's a sign. These are signs that may lead you to a hot yoga teacher training program. And before we continue on, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell. Any questions or comments, especially about this subject, put them down below. I'm happy to get back to you. And there's so many teacher training programs to consider. And I'm talking about hot yoga. That's my niche. That's my expertise, the hot yoga world. There's Bikram's teacher training program. There's the Barkin teacher training program. There's hot yoga teacher training programs all over. The last thing you want to do is shop price or shop convenience. Just because there's a hot yoga teacher training program down the block doesn't mean that's the one you want to pursue. You want to, first of all, find a teacher that has been doing teacher training programs for a long period of time, because that's how you're going to gain the knowledge. That's how you're going to gain the information to use that in your yoga classroom to be a more effective and credible teacher. And then look at the cost as an investment. This training is a lot less expensive. That looks to me like a better option. Not if the teacher's only been teaching yoga for a year and all of a sudden opens a teacher training program. A lot of times studios are almost forced to so they can pay the rent. Again, you want to seek out an experienced yoga teacher, but also somebody that you connect to personally. You want to find somebody that you can relate to. And when you hear them teach the class, you can say to yourself, that's the type of class that I want to teach. That's the training you want to explore.
Did you feel a cosmic connection?
So the obvious two teacher training programs are Bikram and Barkin. Let's talk about that real quick and the difference between the two. First of all, let's talk about the similarities. The Barkin teacher training program certifies you to teach a different sequence, but every pose in the Bikram 26 and 2 are in the Barkin method series. I just added some postures that I believe the students need for more upper body strength, more hip openers, and taking the body, especially the spine, in another direction. So I look at it as an addition, possibly the evolution to Bikram yoga, but still under the same lineage. So when I'm talking about hot yoga, I'm talking about a specific style of yoga that comes from Bikram's teacher, Vishnu Ghosh, who's in the state of Bengal, in the northeastern part of India, in the city of Calcutta. And some of you may not know, but I was Bikram's most senior teacher for over 18 years. So I still consider myself part of this lineage. I teach postures from this lineage, passed down from Vishnu Ghosh to Bikram, to Barkin, to the world. Postures that are unique. Some postures that are unique in the yoga world are standing head to knee, rabbit pose, standing separately head to knee. What do they have in common? The rounding of the spine. It's a unique alignment concept. So there are a lot of similarities between the Bikram and Barkin. I mean, that's how I learned. That's how I learned from Bikram. But let's talk about the main difference between the two teacher training programs. When Bikram first started his condensed teacher training programs in 1994, he created a script, what he calls the dialogue. And he didn't have much time for the students to really get into the subject of yoga unless they've been practicing for a long period of time. So what he wanted people to do, and what he still wants people to do, is memorize the script, memorize the dialogue, and say it word for word in every single class. Now, I come more from the old school of Bikram yoga teachers. I was certified in 1981, way before he had his condensed teacher training program in 1994. And we weren't forced to memorize a script. There wasn't a script or a dialogue back then. We were then told to calculate our own words, but we had such an understanding of the practice because we were doing it for so long. I practiced with Bikram over 2 years, but 3 classes a day. So the information was already embedded into my being. And when it came time for me to teach, the words became automatic. The first time I had to teach, Bikram had to go to the bathroom. As he's walking out, he looks over and he sees I was the most experienced student in the room. He says, "Jimmy, you talk." And off he went to the bathroom. And that was my first teaching experience. But right there on the spot, I was forced to then calculate my own words. And that's how I train my students in the teacher training program, to calculate your own words. However, addressing all the necessary bullet points that go to each and every single pose. I remember Bikram was doing a workshop in Miami and I attended. This was like the late 1990s in Miami, and he said that his goal was to create a cookie cutter model that every teacher would say the same thing the same way in every class across the world. Just like when you go to Starbucks, you're going to have the latte made the exact same way. Just like when you go to McDonald's, the Big Mac is going to taste the same way wherever you go. And I remember when he said that, something just didn't seem right to me. I said, no, first of all, Bikram doesn't want you to teach like he does. He wants you to just memorize the script. It almost becomes an automaton. Now, to pay homage to the Bikram experienced teachers, a lot of them, as they became more experienced, as they became more seasoned teacher, they were able to then expound and break free from the dialogue and then work on specific corrections, work on encouragement, explain exactly what the posture means. So I'm not saying all Bikram teachers do that. I'm just saying the beginning teachers are trained to do that. Now, that may be something you're drawn to. Maybe you want to have a script that you can memorize so that you know exactly what you're going to say moving into the class. Then the Bikram training would be perfect for you. But in contrast, in the Barkin method world, I've written out a script with every single bullet point that's essential. All the alignment tips that you must address in the class each day to be able to properly guide the students in the proper alignment, proper timing, proper understanding of the pose, an explanation of each pose. So I'm a little different. In the Barkin method world, when you have to calculate your own words, it can be a little difficult in the beginning because you have to then begin to calculate those sentences. But once that becomes a given, then I'm opening up the teacher to find their own unique, authentic voice. Once again, that's a big difference between Bikram and Barkin. And if you're interested in becoming a Barkin method yoga teacher, either a 200-hour because you're not a teacher yet, or a 300-hour, you're already a teacher, you want to go to the next level, take it to the next step, I put links in the description below. We'd love to have you join the family. So once again, I implore you to investigate, to explore, to do your due diligence. Maybe you don't want to fly out to Thailand and memorize the script in the Bikram world. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't want to do a Barkin method teacher training program because you're not connected to my personality and my teaching. There are other hot yoga options out there. Do your due diligence and explore, see what's the right fit for you. And many things you want to look for. One thing that's important is it's not just about the yogic postures or the yogic asana. You want to be able to learn how to teach. Many times you come out of a teacher training program, you may have to go to a yoga studio and audition to teach. And if you're not really sure, you don't have that experience behind you, you're going to be in trouble. I had one student who was very quiet. I would have her walk outside the room and shout out the bullet points to the classroom when I was training her how to teach because I could barely hear her.
A little louder, please.
So I was preparing her for that audition. When you leave that teacher training program, you're ready to teach a yoga class. And what else do you have to look for as you explore to see what's the perfect teacher training program for you, hot yoga teacher training program for you? History is important. It became a passion of mine. When I started doing my condensed teacher training programs in 2003, I once again became a student of the history. I've said this on my channel many times. To know where you're going, you have to know where you came from. Understanding the history of yoga is essential in giving you that substance, the credibility to understand the subject properly. For example, we teach Hatha Yoga. The hot yoga world is a style of Hatha Yoga, or it's properly pronounced Hatha Yoga. The creators of Hatha Yoga were two guys, Matsyendra and Goraksha, but mostly Goraksha. So it's important to understand the person that created Hatha Yoga is this yogi, very powerful sage named Goraksha. It's so important to understand that. It's like asking a psychologist who's Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud is the one that created the subject of psychology. If a psychologist doesn't know who Sigmund Freud is, I don't know if I want to go to that psychologist. If the Hatha yogi doesn't know who Goraksha is, the creator of the style, that's something you may want to consider. So history is such an important part of it. Make sure they include history in their curriculum. And one thing we didn't talk about yet, and that's Yoga Alliance. Yoga Alliance is an organization in the United States, and they regulate yoga teachers. It's really the only one that does that. There's no real regulation. You can register with Yoga Alliance if you want to. Some studios require it, many don't. I've certified over 2,500 people since 2003, and only 10% have actually registered with Yoga Alliance. But if you want a Yoga Alliance certification, make sure your school is recognized by the Yoga Alliance. The Barkin method, by the way, is. And Bikram's training is not, by the way, connected with Yoga Alliance. But there's a hot yoga teacher, her name is Val Scalar, and she created an organization to register you as a hot yoga teacher in the hot yoga world. So if you are a Bikram teacher, you can also go with Val Scalar's organization. I'll put the link in the description below. And the reason why I bring up the Yoga Alliance is because they also have requirements. There's a code of ethics that you must sign. There's an anatomy requirement. We have to have at least 6 hours of anatomy. So make sure the teacher training program that you choose includes anatomy, especially if you're want to be connected with Yoga Alliance. But the main thing is you explore to see what is the right or the perfect teacher training program for you. One, you want to connect with the teacher. That's really important. Two, you want to connect with the style of yoga. Maybe you want the 26 and 2. Maybe you want the difference in the evolution and the Barkin method and add the Barkin method postures within the 26 and 2. And once again, there are other hot yoga teacher training programs out there. Make sure you connect with the teacher. You connect with what they teach, how they teach, and what their philosophy is. That's essential. I had a student once who did my teacher training program, and she was desperately looking for a training because she was hired to teach yoga somewhere down in the islands at some very fancy 5-star resort, but she needed a certification. I was the closest one because she was coming out of Florida, and my training was starting right away. She needed the certification right away, but it wasn't the type of yoga that she wanted to do. Obviously, it didn't work. Halfway through the teacher training program, she was having lots of trouble connecting with the teachers. I brought in many teachers that would come in and help me with the teacher training program. It wasn't the right training for her.
I didn't sign up for this.
Because she was shopping price, she was shopping convenience. So once again, don't shop price, don't shop convenience. Find the right teacher, the right program, the right curriculum that you connect with and align with. And also, like I said before, and let's do a big drum roll for this one, Rochelle. Make sure they teach you actually how to teach. In the Bikram world, yeah, you're going to teach the 26 and 2 class. In the Barkin world, you're going to teach the Barkin yoga class. So I also have a Barkin Hot Vinyasa class. So it's an actual sequence. So you're going to know exactly what you're teaching from the beginning to the end. You're going to know how to lead the class, how to find what I call variety of tone. Beginning, there's a middle, there's an end, there's dynamics that are important in explaining and communicating that information to your classroom. That's how your future students are going to connect with you. That's how you're going to be the most credible. That's how you're going to make the true impact in your yoga teaching. A couple announcements I want to make before we leave. This Wednesday, August 20th, I'm going to be in OBX, North Carolina at OBX Hot Yoga doing a teacher training program. The morning classes are open for everyone. If you're in the area, please come and join us. August 29th to the 31st, I'm going to be in Birmingham, Alabama at Rise and Refine Hot Yoga. It's going to be a workshop that's open for everyone. We'd love to have you join us as well. And in September and October, I'm doing a Level 1, 26 and 2 teacher training program with the Barkin method influence at Zora Hot Yoga in Bloomfield, New Jersey. I'll be doing a lot more teacher training programs and workshops beside these. These are the ones that are upcoming. I put links in the description below. You can check out the entire schedule. So that's our episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell. Any questions or comments, put them down below. If you want to become a Barkin Method hot yoga teacher, we'd love to have you join the family. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.